Hello students, today you're going to take vocabulary video notes on blood vessels. Those are the ones you have to draw. And of course you try your best on the drawings. As long as I see that you took more than a second to draw it, maybe took a minute or two to really invest in the details, especially if it's a complicated drawing. You'll get your A, and then also don't forget the original sentence, which is part of this. You don't need a summary or advanced question. And like always, if the video is going too fast, pause it or rewind it. Are you ready? Let's begin. Number 1. So blood vessels. So we've been talking about the cardiovascular system, and the blood vessels are a big part of that. The blood vessels are in the human body, there's 3 types. And these 3 types of blood vessels move blood, and there's other fluids as well that are moved around through the blood vessels. Go ahead and take a minute to write this original sentence. Humans have 3 types of blood vessels. And then make sure you come up with original sentences for the rest of the notes today. Here's the drawing already for the first one. For the other ones, I'll just show them to you because they just don't fit here. So I'll just show them to you and I'll tell you which one to draw, or what thing to draw. So go ahead and take a minute to sketch that out. The blood vessels obviously are these little, look like tubes or wires inside of this human body. Are you ready? I'm moving on to number 2. Okay, let's move on to number 2. Quickly, I'll leave this image if you want to pause it, if you want a bigger image of that number 1. But if you don't, let's move on. Arteries. So the blood vessels, remember there's 3 kinds. Arteries are one kind. Arteries are blood vessels that carry blood away from the heart and to the body's organs. Okay, let me show you a picture and then maybe that helps you come up with the original sentence. Or if you want to do that now, it's up to you. In this image, the arteries are right here in red. See the red ones right here? And these arteries, they take all the oxygenated blood that has full of oxygen to all your cells. And then you have similar system here. Now don't think that the blue ones are only on this side and the red ones are on this side. This is just showing you how they kind of look. But you notice they're very similar. So you have rows of arteries and veins on both sides of your human body. But the arteries take the blood with full of oxygen, and then once the blood has given away the oxygen to the cells and is full of carbon, the blood travels back into the heart this way. So notice that there's main veins and there's main arteries. I know this image is very difficult to draw, so this is the one I want you to draw for veins and arteries. For arteries, just draw a tube. That helps you hopefully remember for the test, and then branching into little tubes. And of course these tubes are all over your body. The arteries are the ones that carry the blood from the heart. So make sure you write from the heart in an arrow and then draw the tube branching out. And that's it for that drawing. That should go here. Okay, let's move on to number 3. Oops, too fast. Vein. A vein is a blood vessel that carries the blood back to the heart. And that's the picture I showed you. Let's go back to it real quick. So that's these blue ones here. They're not really blue, although they are kind of darker colored blood. The blood inside of those looks a little darker. So if you look at your wrist right now and it looks kind of dark bluish, it's not that your blood is blue. It's just because it doesn't have oxygen. It is a little bit darker red and it kind of looks bluish. But anyways, the veins carry the oxygen poor blood back into the lungs. And then once they have oxygen, the heart pumps it right back out through the arteries. Okay, the picture you want to draw for veins is similar. You can ignore this part. It just tells you kind of the size of it if you look at it in a microscope. But just draw another tube and then just draw the arrow out, which is going to the heart. And that's good for the drawings. Pause it if you need a second because I'm moving on. Alright, don't forget your original sentence for vein, original sentence for artery as well. Okay, let's move on to the last one. The last idea for today is capillaries. So let's look at that. Here's a definition. Capillaries are tiny blood vessels and they allow gas exchange. They're so small, they're like 1 cell wide, and the blood cell can travel, they're probably 2 or 3 cells wide, so the 1 cell can travel through them, but they're very tiny and they allow gases to exchange because they're so small. And the gases exchange into the blood and into the other cell tissues. Alright, this one should help for capillaries. So capillaries are very small, just a couple cells wide, and then blood cells can travel through them, and then the nutrients and also the carbon dioxide can just move through the capillaries walls because they're so thin. and then they connect to the veins, and they come from the arteries. So the capillaries connect to both the veins and the arteries. You can actually see them in your eye, especially if your eye is irritated. These little red lines are the capillaries, so you can see they're very, very thin. They're only a cell wide. So the capillaries, of course, have to feed your eye, because if not, it wouldn't work. I guess it's a living organ that's part of you. So every single cell that's alive inside of you needs to eat. And the capillaries are the ones that feed the tiny, tiny cells everywhere. So it goes from arteries to capillaries, and then the capillaries connect back to the veins to take it back to the heart and then to the lungs. Okay, don't forget your original sentence for number 4, and then move on to the next step. Have a great day.